This is Dr. David Herzog, clinical psychologist and yoga teacher for the Technology of You, here to speak with you about bias. Though Webster's dictionary defines bias as prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way to be considered unfair. So, where does bias come from? What's at the root of bias? We certainly see so much bias in the world, and we are all biased by nature. And the biology behind this is, it's in our genes. Our ancestors, the reptiles, in order to survive and evolve, they needed to be able to look out for danger, avoid danger, because if you die, that's it. So the sympathetic nervous system of those lizards, which we also have, right? The sympathetic nervous systems helped them to assess for threat, for danger. And anything that was unfamiliar, that was not like them, that they did not recognize, was a threat, was dangerous. Now we're talking about reptiles with pretty tiny brains and limited brain function, but they did know how to scan for safety, for danger, and for safety, and also to be able to get what they needed to survive. But more important than finding the carrot is avoiding the stick. So most important, look for danger and separate yourself from danger. So this is a part of our brain we have at the brainstem, the reptilian brain. We also aren't reptiles. We have a frontal cortex that can allow us to discern if something is really a threat, if something that is different is a threat, or it's just something that's different that we can be curious about. The truth is, we're all different, and we're all biased. And that is so evident, even more and more evident right now, the racial bias in the world, and how that is impacting the lives of so many, creating so much suffering and abuse. Now, as I said, everyone is biased. We all have biases. When a group of people, a majority of people, have the same bias, that's dangerous, because the minority that has less power and privilege than the majority is fucked. Because all of that bias keeps the minorities down. Because the majority in power keeps them down. Because they feel threatened. Because they are in a place of fear. It's not that they can't use their frontal cortex. We, as people with white privilege, the majority, can use our brains, our frontal cortexes, to act from a place of knowing, from a place of compassion, of connection to others, not having to distance people that are different from us, not to be afraid of difference, diversity, to not live in fear. When we have systems of oppression that have been created out of fear and that get reinforced out of fear, that stir up fear in the majority, that just reinforces the racial bias, reinforces the oppression. So just consider how fear works, how bias works, how institutions of oppression, the government, the politicians, how they work, how their biases, how they use their power to reinforce their bias, to use your fear, to use your reptile brain to reinforce the bias, the racial inequity, the oppression. And perhaps notice how you play a part, how you are a part of the oppression. If you're living in your reptile brain, if you're allowing yourself to live in fear and give away your power. Come into your humanity. You are human. And if you come into your humanity, you will treat every human with respect. The respect, you will connect, and there is no separation. what this world would be like, could be like, can be like, must be like, moving forward. Is a world without bias. So notice your bias, own your bias. Perhaps let go of your bias using the technology of you. Allowing and supporting everyone in being and thriving.